All right, everybody, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Thursday. And obviously, we're talking coronavirus, and we're hearing from all of you out there. We want to hear your personal stories. We'll try to get to some more phone calls a little bit later in the show at 702-257-5396. And if you've been waiting on hold patiently, we will try to get to as many phone calls as we can. But, today's Thursday, but this is a different Thursday. This is a different kind of segment with Darcy Spears from 13 Action News. She does her Dirty Dining segments with us every week, does a great job on Channel 13, and she's going into places and she's saying, well, what are the restaurants you shouldn't be going to that are breaking these health rules? And now it's more of a situation of, well, many of these restaurants are not open, but some of them are open for delivery. So what are the types of things that we should look for, and what are the things that we should be careful with when it comes to ordering food, whether it be pickup or delivery? Darcy Spears from 13 Action News joining us right now on the line. Darcy, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm working remotely, much like you guys are, so kind of getting used to what I hope is a temporary new normal, but nonetheless, still doing our jobs. And restaurants are allowed to stay open if they want to. Many of them are converting to takeout and drive-through options, or those that have that as their business model, of course, are continuing to do that. But those kitchens are operational, and they're cooking food for the public and need to adhere now more than ever to those extremely strict health and sanitation standards.
Absolutely. So, Darcy, speak to the people that are actually going to be buying a lot of deliveries, a lot of pickups over the course of the next weeks, maybe even months. What advice would you give to them, and what are things that you should look for that can help you make sure that you're getting food from an establishment that is safe?
Well, I actually just a few minutes ago got answers to some questions that I've been waiting on from the Southern Nevada Health District to specifically be able to help folks answer some of those questions. And I did get reassurance from the health district that they are continuing to inspect the restaurants. They are continuing to offer education and inspection services to the food service industry, making sure that the community's food supply chain is safe. Restaurants and other food outlets that remain open for takeout and drive-through will be prioritized for inspections. And the health district is continuing to offer its full range of services during this time. Of course, all of those restaurants have to continue practicing good sanitation and food safety practices, but there is also a statement of guidance to help restaurants through the COVID-19 response. That is on the health district's website. And also the grade cards. As you know, when you walk into a restaurant, the grade card has to be posted conspicuously. You have to be able to see it when you walk in. But if you're just doing drive-through or if you're just doing curbside takeout, you may not see the grade of that facility, so you may not know what it has. You can ask them to show you their grade card. Or, once again, you can always go on the health district's website or their mobile app to verify current grade and inspection history of any facility. So not being able to walk in if a place is in fact closed, or if you're not walking in for takeout, that's another way to make sure that you're as up to date as possible on what the current inspection status of that restaurant is.
So, and that's great information that you're giving to our listeners, Darcy. Talk to me a little bit about some of these restaurants. I mean, my understanding is, based on everything that we've talked about today, speaking with several different people, is that these restaurants, there's no law that says they have to close, right? They can actually remain open and they can't get cited or arrested. Are some of these restaurants actually remaining open? What can you tell us about that?
Well, because I am abiding by the rules that most of our employees are under right now, which is to work remotely, to work from home, to not really go out much, I haven't put that theory to the test. I haven't tried walking into a restaurant to see if they're open and serving. What we are advising everybody to do is to call first. If you want to go to a place, or if you want to get takeout, or, even if you want to dine in, because yes, you're absolutely right. This is not an order for closure. This is guidance. This is a suggestion that the governor has made. There is no rule, there is no law that any restaurant has to close down, even to dining in. They're still allowed to do that. The police are not going to respond to any, oh my gosh, this business is open. They're allowed to be open. They're allowed to keep doing business. It's everyone's individual discretion as to how they want to do business. If they want to keep letting people come and dine in with, perhaps limited seating for that 6 feet of separation rule, they can do that. Some are going to opt to close. Some are going to opt to just do drive-through or takeout. But it is absolutely and completely up to them.
I want to ask you a question.
Is JD on? For whatever reason, JD's microphone isn't working. Okay, so obviously, there's a lot of people here that are freaking out. As you know, Darcy, they're going to the supermarkets and stocking up on water and a lot of other things. But I would imagine most people, a large percentage of people, will actually, be doing takeout. I mean, if you take the average 10 people in Las Vegas, Darcy, is it fair to say that at least 8 out of 10 people will most likely be buying takeout, at least on a daily basis?
I would say that quite a few people are probably doing that. And just in my own experience, I was out for a brief time yesterday working on a story about daycare facilities. And when I drove by In-N-Out Burger, that's basically the one on Sahara and Wallapai, there was a huge line of people in the drive-thru there. And there were a few people in the drive-thru at Cane's, which is nearby as well. So definitely people aren't easing up on, going through the drive-thru. And I think a lot of people are probably going to be taking advantage of that, especially, and I can't emphasize enough, the people that are out there panic shopping and hoarding, stop. Just
exactly.
Stop.
And I want to ask you about that.
You're ruining the supply chain. You're penalizing people who are just trying to live their normal lives by buying only what they need for the short time. But the bare shelves at the stores, it's totally unnecessary, and it's fear-based and misinformed, and people need to stop doing that. But also, I think it is because people might not be able to find some of the basics that they're looking for to cook at home. There are going to be quite a few people going through these drive-thrus and doing takeout. And I hope people do that to continue patronizing our local restaurant industry, because they need to stay in business, and we need them, and we're really going to want them when the time comes that we're able to get together and go out, with family and friends again. So the adherence to the sanitation and the health is of the utmost importance. And definitely when you're doing that, when you're going through take through and drive out, double check the grade. Make sure that the place you're going to has an A. You can go to a place that has a B or a C if you want, of course, but just keeping informed will give you that extra little bit of information that you need to make it, a choice that you're comfortable with.
And I went through a drive-thru, I believe 2 days ago at Popeyes, and for the first time, the woman that gave me my food actually had gloves on, which was a nice development. I want to ask you about people who are going to grocery stores and purchasing food, whether it's in a package or bottles of water, or say someone touches one bottle of water and they don't buy it, and someone else touches that same bottle of water. When you purchase actually 2 questions. When you purchase food from a grocery store, what should you do when you get home with that food to prevent yourself from getting the coronavirus? Is it possible to be transmitted through that food? And then also, do you think that social distancing, because this is not being practiced right now at Costco, at Smith's, you look at the lines outside, even at dispensaries, these people are 1 foot or 2 feet away from each other. Do you think that should be applied to Costco's and Smith as well as everything else? And how do you answer the first question?
Well, definitely, as far as, touching things that other people have touched, we have seen from, the CDC and the medical professionals that are advising everybody right now that the coronavirus can, in fact, live on surfaces for days. We've seen anywhere from 2 to 9 days that it can live on different types of surfaces and packaging, whether hard surfaces are more at risk than something more porous like cardboard, for example. But plastic, any packaging can, in fact, be contaminated, some shorter than others. So, if you really want to be extra safe, you may want to wipe down the stuff that you purchase, because certainly you don't know who's touched it. And whether it's using a Clorox wipe or something that you spray a little bit of cleaner on a paper towel and wipe it down. Of course, being careful not to ingest chemicals. We don't want anybody to do that. But it can live on surfaces. So being mindful of that is really important. I know that some stores are limiting the number of customers that can come in at any given time. I think some of the Smith stores have done that to try to enforce the concept of social distancing. I don't know about Costco because, quite frankly, I'm staying as far away from that as possible. to not be part of the problem and to not buy an excess of things. The people, like when the bread shelves are going dry, I mean, perishables are not going to last. And stuff's going to go stale when you buy more than you need. So in addition to creating a shortage, I think people are also going to be contributing to food waste. And that might not be something that they've considered. I know at the Smiths that I go to, where they usually have those Purell wipes for all the carts, those have been out forever. As you know, and I say that obviously that's an exaggeration, but definitely for the last couple of weeks, they haven't had any for you to wipe your carts down. So I do see people in the grocery store wearing gloves to push the carts around. But that's another reason why it's super important to wash your hands right when you get home if you've touched that cart, because as we know, soap and water is truly the most effective way to kill bacteria and viruses and prevent their transmission.
No question. Darcy, always a fantastic job, but even this week is more important maybe than any other week. Every week we have you on, it's important, but giving the information that you're giving out right now, really helping people in the Valley, as you always do. Can you give out that information? How do people contact you? How do people follow you on social media and see you on Channel 13?
Well, we did do Dirty Dining this week. It did air last night at 11, and it will re-air today in our 6:30 p.m. show, as is the case every Wednesday night and every Thursday. You'll get your Dirty Dining episode. There were restaurants that we profiled in last night's Dirty Dining that got caught doing the exact type of things that we don't want to see people doing right now, where it comes to hand washing violations and food that's not being washed and a variety of other health and sanitation type of violations that is the last thing you want to see. So please go to ktnv.com and you can see our Dirty Dining report from last night. All the details are there. The video is posted. You can always find it there. I've also put it on my Facebook page. Just look for Darcy Spears on Facebook. I've tweeted out a link to it as well. I'm at DSPINV13 on Twitter. And then, of course, our mobile app and our streaming services will have it as well.
Darcy, great job as always. Always appreciate you. Thank you so much coming on during these difficult times, and we look forward to catching up with you next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Be safe.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Darcy.
Same to you, Darcy. Be safe out there. That's Darcy Spears, 13 Action News, Dirty Dining segment this week. Very different than some of those other segments that she's done. I promised you I would get back to the phone calls. We're going to do that right now. We want to hear your personal stories. How is this coronavirus affecting you personally? We want to hear from you. This is your show, 702-257-5396. Again, 257-5396. I will mention this real briefly. You know, there are some talk show hosts that were written about in the Review Journal, and one of those hosts said that he's having guests on just to fill time. Let me be very clear on that. We didn't have Darcy Spears on the show to fill time, and we also are not on the air 47 minutes a day. We don't have any guests on this show to fill time. We know what we're going to talk about. One other local host said he doesn't know what he's going to talk about. Well, guess what? We do. That's why we have a talk every night before we go to sleep about the subjects and the important things that we're going to talk about.
That's why we got a producer.
Which is ever evolving. So if the Review Journal ever interviews us, which they probably never do, but if they would do that, I would say, no, we actually don't have guests on to fill time. We're on for more than 47 minutes a day.
And really, that's a disservice. It's a disservice to your listeners, is what that really is.
It's an embarrassment.
And you're keeping your show going to appease your advertisers who are paying for it. When your listeners are listening because they want good information to help them or to answer questions that they have, or whatever that thing may be. And so, just filling time is probably not the best way to go about.
I'm just confused
having a radio show, especially during these very trying times.
I'm very confused. One of the guys that they wrote about in the Review Journal today, I wouldn't call him a friend, but, hung out with him sometimes. And, he's bragging about his resume, about how he's been in different markets since 1993. He's on for 47 minutes a day in this market. And he said it's about being diversified, being able to talk about more than what's just currently going on. And then he says later in this article that he's having guests on to fill time. I mean, it's just totally contradicting himself. And the reason why I'm talking about this is
and it's possible that entire interview was taken out of context, because I know TC. I don't have a problem with TC. He's always been very kind to me, but he definitely didn't answer that question. If that's what he actually said, he didn't think through his answer.
It's quoted in the Review Journal
before he said.
So I can only go by what's said. And the reason why I'm talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, is for this reason. And we'll get back to your phone calls here in a few minutes at 702-257-5396. I believe we have a duty as members of the media. Now, what I do and what JD does, what we do on this show, we're not journalists. We're not reporters. This is an opinionated talk show. So while we want to get the latest information out there to you, we're also going to share our opinions. That's what we do. Sometimes we speculate, but we give a thought, we give an opinion, and then we hear from you. But never in the history of this show or the history of me ever doing radio, and I'm not perfect, I'm far from it, never have I had a guest on a show to fill time. Never have I ever gone into a show not knowing what I'm going to talk about. But the people that are being interviewed by the Review Journal talking about talk radio, the two people that are being quoted in the newspaper today, they're on the air for 47, 48 minutes a day, and that's what they said.
To give them a little bit of latitude, these are both sports hosts. They host sports shows.
Doesn't matter.
They're not used to talking news and politics and current issues, so they don't have a ton of experience with this. But again, not great answers.
I could talk to anybody on the street who doesn't have any radio experience, and they would have more to say about this issue. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody. It's not too difficult to reach out and get a local doctor to come on, or get somebody like a Darcy Spears, or get somebody like an employment lawyer like David Dornack. If you want to do an hour a day, talk about Tom Brady and talk about the Raiders, go ahead. That's not what we do on this show. We'll never do that. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We'll take some phone calls now. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to Logan. Logan, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, Logan?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm still waiting on that poster of Larry the Cable Guy, but we're going to pass that. So my whole thing is my job's not being affected. I'm a glazier for a small company in town, and
gotcha.
Work is business as usual right now, which is really weird to me. And some things that I'm seeing. I heard somebody just the other day on your show talking about the Second Amendment and gun rights and all of this stuff. When we go back and you try to become a doctor right now, does anybody realize how much debt you're going into to become a doctor and how unrealistic it is and why the new generation isn't going that route? Why are we looking at the old Constitution and keeping gun laws the same, going off of that? How about you look at the minimum wage back when the Constitution was written and how much it costs to go to school or how much it costs to live?
Well, it's a good point, and that's why I always – no, you're right, and that's why when people always bring up, well, our forefathers said this. Well, some of our forefathers also believed in slavery. So don't listen to those people. So when anyone says –
I'm glad you said that, because looking at slavery, Abraham Lincoln did everything he could, and once everything was abolished, we still were being segregation. We were still segregating. So it's like we're going to go and repeat the past with making everything like that? I just don't understand it.
I agree, Logan, and I appreciate the phone call. Thanks very much. Certainly that's a different subject. I'm not sure what that has to do with the coronavirus, but I appreciate you listening, Logan, and I appreciate you calling in. Let's take.
Well, I think what he's kind of getting at is the fact that there might be a doctor shortage or a nurse shortage, and there's a reason for that because it costs so much, time and money to actually get into that career.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our forefathers and let's quote the Bible. I mean, some people decide to do that. That's not what we do on this show.
Good call, Logan.
702-257-5396. Let's go to Michelle. She's been very patient on the line. We appreciate that, Michelle. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Michelle?
Hi, Brian. Hi, JD. I just want to thank you for your service. You are providing a sense of community and assurance. It's just nice to hear what people have to say and to have that feeling of being connected with Las Vegas. So thank you again.
Appreciate that. That's what this show's all about.
Yes, back then I did some research about the Spanish flu, and what we have for our advantage is that most of us have basic sanitation and disinfection in our homes. We have the bleach, we have the hydrogen peroxide, we have the rubbing alcohol. So I want to say something about fingernails that nobody's mentioned. I've known for years that it's under the fingernails, that it's a hotbed for germs and viruses. So you want to keep your fingernails short, remove artificial nails, please, ladies, and scrub that area where the nail is and the fingertips.
Trust me, I've had a lot of women to tell. Trust me, just to be clear, I've had a lot of women over the course of the last 20 years who have told me to quote unquote scrub that area.
What about?
I just want. Can I just finish my joke, JD, without you interrupting me? Holy smokes! I thought that was funny.
A little bit of education here. So Michelle, if you're a woman and you have long nails, but nail salons aren't open,
cut them off right now. don't be that stupid to say I have to have my beautiful long nails. Yes,
Okay.
they're sexy. Yes, they're beautiful. But it's always been a hotbed for E. coli. Sorry to be disgusting about it, but under the nails, that's where the germs cultivate and remain. Because most people do not scrub underneath the nails.
Well, Michelle, you can clean my nails or that special area anytime, okay? Just to be clear.
Okay, sounds good.
Michelle, always good. All seriousness, always good to hear from you. We appreciate you, Michelle. Thank you for calling in. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
How's it going? Hey, I'm
Good.
just
What's up?
concerned about all the run on the gun stores. I'm pro Second Amendment. Fine. What I'm concerned about is lack of training. We have a lot of people that are first-time gun purchasers. They should go on YouTube, look up their firearm, learn how to use them, write down serial numbers of your firearms because we are having an uptick in crime. That way you can track your weapon and practice gun safety, people.
Well, that's the key, obviously. The key is that.
No, but then that's a very, very good point. I'm sure you have people right now in Las Vegas who may not have owned firearms or even thought about owning firearms, but thinking about what's going on right now and if they have a family or if their home isn't in a gated area or if they're in kind of a high crime area, typically I'm sure that the crime will go up in that area that are really seriously considering or have recently purchased firearms. Actually, if you're one of those people, you should call in.
From what I understand from our last caller before that last one was Michelle, my weapon are my fingernails. There's no question about that. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're up next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Good.
I just want to say you guys are doing a great job. The governor, he's doing as good as he could do, you know. As far as the store situation, for the people who are having a hard time to get out, go at 5, 6 in the morning just when they're opening up.
That's what I've heard. Can you tell us about that? Mike, can you tell us about that experience? I would imagine you've done that. How early?
Today.
Tell me. Okay, so walk me through your day. You wake up at 5 in the morning. Where did you go? What did you get?
I actually woke up at 4. I got to the store at 5:30. I went to Bonds. There was about maybe 25 people in line, and they were about 3 feet apart from each other. They were doing okay. And I just wanted to get bread, water, and toilet paper, and everything was there. But it got swiped up real quickly. So if people want to get that stuff, get out at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. That you know what? I've heard a lot of the people that are really hurting are getting there very early in the morning, especially those who live with loved ones, or maybe some younger people are getting some products for their families, maybe their parents, maybe their grandparents. I went to a local 7-Eleven and they never have toilet paper. They don't have anything. If you go, they got
But
Slurpees.
Anyway, I learned something yesterday. I went to Bank of America, and believe it or not, the guy said that the coronavirus cannot live on the dollar bill.
Why is that?
Because of all the other bacteria will kill it.
Oh,
Isn't
okay.
that
That's
something?
interesting. I didn't know that. So would that be the same? Would that apply to like poker chips or casino chips as well?
I don't know. He just said, as far as he knows, just a dollar bill, because they have people who are testing it.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I would actually guess that would apply to a dollar bill or to a poker chip.
Wow.
Ryan.
Well, we appreciate the phone call. Thank you for sharing your story. And there's a lot of people like you, Mike, that are waking up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, going to a Costco, going to a Walmart, not because they enjoy it, not because they want to, because they have to. Appreciate
One
that
more
call.
quick statement. If you
go
ever
ahead.
see Steve Sanchez again, tell him to get off those Trump knee pads. You guys have a good day.
All right. I appreciate that phone call. Thank you very much.
Good call, Mike.
We'll take some more calls on the other side of the break. We know we have people waiting on hold. This show is about you. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-257-5396. We want to hear your personal stories. We want to hear from you. How is the coronavirus affecting you in Las Vegas? Maybe it's affecting your employment status. Maybe it's affecting your business. How is it affecting your family? This show is about you. I also had a conversation with somebody very close to the NHL and the Vegas Golden Knights. Will there be a NHL season, or are they just dumping the whole thing? We'll get to that coming up next. We'll get to your calls on the other side of the break. Again, 257-5396. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening. All right, welcome back. It's the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro broadcasting live from Brian Shapiro's kitchen. Yes, that's right. That's where we're broadcasting from. We are not allowed in the studios that are in lockdown over there at Beasley Broadcasting, but we're doing everything we can to bring you the latest information live in regards to this coronavirus and how it's affecting all of you. We're going to go back to the phone calls in just a few minutes here, and that number to call, we want to hear from you, 702-257-5396. How is this virus affecting you personally, your family, your work, your life situation? How is it affecting your life? We'll hear from you coming up here in a few minutes. And again, that number, 257-5396. So I posted something up on Twitter, and I put like a little gambling odds on it, over under when the next Vegas Golden Knights game would be. And I put a date of April 18th. And on social media, and you can see the conversation. It's public. The guys from Sinbin Vegas, who do a good job covering the Vegas Golden Knights, hit me up on social media. And they said, boy, I'd like to place a wager on that Vegas Golden Knights line. And I said, well, do you have inside information? What are you telling me? And, eventually when I said it was just for fun and no, you couldn't actually place a bet on my odds. Here's what Sinbin said, and these guys are on top of the NHL and the Vegas Golden Knights. This is pretty staggering what they said, because I assumed that the Vegas Golden Knights schedule might start in a month or so, that it might continue. Here's what the guys from Sinbin told me. They said, quote, there is a 0% chance they are playing before that date, and my date was late April. They said, I think the earliest that's realistic might be late May, and even that's very optimistic. He said, players like the idea of playing the playoffs in August, September, and that's our best hope. And at the end, the guys from Sinbin said, most likely the season is dead. That's incredible. That was shocking to me because I didn't think it was going that far. But now I'm thinking they're probably right. And when you look at the NBA, there might only be a playoffs also. We're learning that 4 players on the Brooklyn Nets a few days ago got the virus, including Kevin Durant. How many more players? See, to me, the amount of players that you have in your league, whatever league that is, are going to get the virus just like they are in this country. We're learning that 40 to 70%, health experts are saying 40 to 70% of people in this country at one point or another within the next 6 months could be infected. So if that's the case, you would think that a good portion of players, both in the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, are at one point going to contract this virus. This is very serious, and it's killing sports, for lack of a better term. I mean, there are no sports, and there may not be any sports for a long time. This is probably the norm that we're going to have to deal with.
The only sport it's helping is the NFL.
How so?
Free agency. All the news is NFL related. The NFL draft is still taking
But how
place.
are they going to be able to open up training camp?
The NFL season is going to start, typically does start early September. Mm-hmm. I think this will probably be under control by then, assuming people start actually not going to beaches, not having large group gatherings. If millennials understand that the fact that, okay, yeah, you may not be susceptible to the virus as far as dying from the virus, but you're still spreading it, and that's just not good. But I think that the NBA season and the NHL season, Christian Wood has the coronavirus, Brian.
Former, if you don't know, hold on. If you don't know who Christian Wood is a former UNLV running rebel, played at UNLV about 7 or 8 years ago.
And so the Brooklyn Nets, they were 4 guys they said they had the virus. Kevin Durant's one of them, but they played the Los Angeles Lakers the week before that, and the Lakers were just tested for yesterday. They're actually in 14-day quarantine as we speak. I would not be surprised at all if the NHL season and the NBA season are both finished. I'm saying
could be very possible.
I'm saying done. I think Major League Baseball still happens, probably early June, possibly late May. Probably June 1st would be probably 2 months behind. And the NFL season, I believe, as well as college football, will also take place.
Well, like I said, very possible. All cards are on the table right now. Anything could happen, sadly. Okay, number to call, 702-257-5396. We want to hear from you, 257-5396. We've taken 2 hours of phone calls, and we'll continue to take your calls right now. Let's go to Janelle, who's been waiting patiently on hold. Janelle, well, she was waiting patiently on hold. I jumped the gun there with Janelle. Again, the number to call, 257-5396. Let's go to Lewis. Lewis, you are next up on the Vegas Take. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, Lewis?
Good morning, gentlemen. I just thought of something. I had an experience yesterday. I went out to buy some weed, and I got my weed. I had to wait because there's only allowed 3 people to come into the place at any time. In the meantime, they had construction workers coming and going in and out of the building, which is okay. Now, when I left there, I had to go. I wanted to buy some tacos, and I wanted to buy some a chicken sandwich. Those 2 places only had drive-in. Now I'm walking. I don't have my automobile. I'm walking, Now I can't. I had to go to the bathroom. The Palms was closed. I couldn't go to the bathroom there. The taco place was closed. I mean.
Okay. So were you arrested for public urination or not?
The Rio was closed. There's no place to go to the bathroom.
Did you have to go number 1 or number 2?
Well, I only had to go number 1.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, that's good.
I'm glad you didn't drop trout in the street and take a dump, Ron. I'm glad to hear that.
No, that wouldn't have been good.
The point is, the whole town is like that now. Where is anybody going to have to go to the bathroom when they got to go to the bathroom except if they go home?
Well, while I understand your concern and your frustration about having to use the restroom, I do understand that. With that being said, I think people have more important things on their mind, not where they defecate, but actually, protecting themselves and not getting sick. I appreciate your concern, but I think that's the last thing that's on a lot of people's mind. Actually, it is on my mind. I don't want people defecating in my apartment today, everybody that's involved in the show. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Davis. Davis, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Davis?
Thanks for taking my call. I just have 2 quick points, and then I'll hang up and listen. The first is, on the comments that Trump has made over the last few months. I mean, I hear you, but the World Health Organization said in the middle of January that the virus could not be transmitted person to person. And
I didn't hear that at all.
Who
said that?
Knowledge. The second thing is
no, it's not. Hold on a second. Wait, hold on. Let's just go with that. You said it's common knowledge. Where can you reference that somebody from the CDC or anybody that has a big job when it comes to this thing said that this
World Health Organization? Look it up. Google it.
Okay, I'll look at it. I've never heard that before.
15th of January, they said it couldn't be transferred person to person.
Okay, well, those people should be fired then because they were wrong.
Well, they're the scientists.
Or Brian, the virus mutated, which viruses do. Yeah. And when a virus mutates and it changes and it becomes airborne or it becomes person-to-person transmittable, you can't really fault scientists.
All right.
Or even presidents for not really knowing what's going to happen before it happens.
Yes, I can, and I have, and I will continue to, JD, but I will say this. If that was the case, then why is Fox News not using that to defend the president? I haven't heard one host on Fox News use that. If it's common knowledge, sir, with all due respect.
Because, Brian, right now it's not about defending the president. It's about stopping the virus.
Have you watched Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham the last 3 weeks?
Brian, it is about stopping the virus.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what I want you to do, JD. I want you to watch Fox News tonight. I know you don't watch a lot of the Fox News.
Can I get to my second point?
Yeah, in 1 second.
Absolutely.
In 1 second. In 1 second, I'll give you that opportunity.
Okay.
I promise you, sir. Okay.
Thanks.
JD, watch Fox News tonight, and if you don't think they're defending the president, please watch 4 hours of Fox News, and I want you to do a check mark every single time they try to defend the president. I guarantee you'll have at least 100 check marks.
Did you just give me homework?
No, I didn't give you homework. I'm just proving you wrong. That's exactly what they did.
I feel like I was just assigned.
I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine. Well, I mean, and JD, you could look up all the other comments that Biden's made about xenophobia, not shutting the flights down, et cetera, et cetera. But the second point I would like to make is whose responsibility is it? Like, who shut down the casinos? It's a rhetorical question. Obviously, the governors. So the governors in a republic like ours have a ton of authority over their own states. So Trump has the authority to close the borders, national emergencies. He could call for what word am I looking for? I don't know, but he could shut down the country. But the individual governors are the ones, like in New York. He's the one that has the authority to set the rules for New York. So
there is no question.
When we blame Trump, I can see it, but the governors have the authority locally, not him.
Well, listen, and I appreciate the phone call and your words. Let me be very clear on this, and I'll state it again. I'm not blaming Trump for the coronavirus. He didn't create the virus. It's not his fault. All I'm simply saying is his words matter, and he has been extremely inconsistent in the course of the last 6 to 8 weeks with those things that he said, and he has to be more responsible with his words. They undermined this virus. Him and his administration have. There's proof of it with the things he said over the course of the last 2 months. Now he's taking a more serious stance. While I appreciate that, it should have happened 2 months ago. Lives could have been saved. I think that is a very fair opinion to have. 257-5396. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy, you're next up on the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Kathy?
Hi. Yeah, I'm fine. A little nervous, but I just wanted to say the way that this has all affected me is I lost my job.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's okay. Hopefully just temporarily.
What was your job, if you don't mind me asking?
I was a breakfast host. It was a really nice job. It was I worked in a hotel, And it's kind of a nice little place. I actually liked going to work. But I hope it's just temporary. But the other way that it's affected me is I feel kind of like really confused, like almost like everything that I believed is sort of in question, and also like I've lost my equilibrium, about.
Well, we all listen. Let me be honest with you. You're not alone, Kathy. Even though I'm a radio host and I might sound like I know what's going on here. I don't, Kathy. We all don't have all the answers. The president doesn't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers, Kathy. I'm with you. We're all scared. And if we don't admit that we're scared, then there's something wrong with you. So, Kathy, the point I'm trying to make is you're not alone.
There's a combination of
I try to remember that we're all in this together, and
no doubt, no doubt.
I try to be positive, but it's kind of hard because it just makes me question almost like everything that I thought was the way things were supposed to be. It's not like that anymore.
You're right. You're right. We're in really unprecedented times now, Kathy. Listen, man, hang in there. Hopefully we will all get through this. 702-257-5396.
Thanks for the call, Kathy.
I believe Steve is next. Steve, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. What's on your mind?
What's up, Steve?
Yeah, I was at the hospital yesterday in Vegas. Now, I took notice, right, where they aren't even doing any kind of spraying after hours. That's what it amounts to, okay? Because I was there extra in the morning there, right, where I could see through the glass doors and everything. Now, when I did go on the inside, they only had one or two persons wiping down the desks. Now, they should have a disinfectant of spraying the furniture, the rugs, everything. Okay, that's all my comment is for right now.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, Steve, I appreciate that, and obviously we want our hospitals and we want our doctors and nurses and cleaning personnel to do their job. I mean, a lot of people say even when the coronavirus wasn't here that my apartment should be sprayed down 6 times a day. At least that's what many people say.
Apartment, car.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
702-257-5396. Let's go to Daryl. Daryl, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I could very much relate to the gentleman who could not find a restroom to use this morning. I was in the same situation. I so related to what he said, and I feel like you just kind of brushed it off. I mean, this is part of the effect of what is going on. I mean, I could not find somewhere to go.
I'll tell you, we didn't brush off Ron. Ron is a consistent caller into our show. We just treated him like we always treat Ron. But so what did you end up doing, Daryl?
I finally got in. Where did I get in at? I forgot. I forgot where it was, but I finally got it. But it was. I had to look around before I could find.
No, I understand. Daryl, hang on the line here. Let me be clear. If you can't find a bathroom or restroom, I've had situations like that without the coronavirus. It's an unpleasant experience. It's not fun. I sympathize. With that being said, there are far more serious issues that this virus brings to us other than not being able to find a place to take a pee. I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but that is part of what is going on, where everything is shut down. And,
it's a small part, but I listen, I understand what you're saying. What's the worst thing that can happen? You go to the bathroom in your pants. Very unpleasant experience. You're not going to die. I get where you're coming from, my friend, and I do sympathize with you, but I sympathize with those who have loved ones that are elderly, those who have the virus. But I appreciate your phone call, and I appreciate you calling in. Let's go to the next caller. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Rob. Rob, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Yeah, well, first of all, I guess there's something wrong with me because I'm not scared of any of this crap. I mean, I've had 55 decent years. If it's time to go, it's time to go. But you just made a comment about Trump doesn't have all the answers.
Well, no, I don't think he does. No, I don't think he does.
But yet you criticize everything he's done.
Okay, well, let me explain. When you don't have all the answers, here's what you don't do. You don't go in front of the American people and say, we're going to have a cure for this virus very soon. You also don't go in front of the country and say, we can go to work because people are feeling better when they go to work. This thing is just going to disappear out of thin air. It's when you don't have answers. We don't want you to hold on, let me finish. We don't want you to speculate. And that's exactly what the president has done over the course of the last 2 months.
You know, when he says very soon, Brian.
When the people he's talking to in the medical field say they're going to have a procedure, a cure or something like that.
Within 12 to 18 months.
A vaccine, right.
That's
And
not
you
what he
know
said.
that-
You're not representing what the president.
But Brian, if they say 12 to 18 months and Trump says very soon doesn't necessarily mean 2 weeks. It could mean 6 months,
But
or
it's
8
not
or,
6
or,
months.
or 8 months.
But it's not 8 months.
How do you know? It's been 3 weeks.
Because I'm going by what
It's been 3 weeks.
Because
the,
I'm going
the point,
by
the point is,
no,
Brian,
you're wrong.
the
You're
standard
wrong.
the standard is 12 to 18
No,
months.
you're
So
wrong.
if the virus or if
What you
if
just
the
said
cure
isn't factually accurate.
if the vaccine comes in 6 months, then technically that would be the same as
But
very
it's
soon
not.
in relation to 12 to 18
You're
months.
doing exactly what Trump does.
Not at all.
You want me to? I'll explain.
Thank you.
No. Don't thank him for putting out misinformation.
That is not information.
His own administration said that it'll be minimum one. Let me finish. You're interrupting me. 1 year. 1 year. 12. Let me finish. 12 to 8. You keep trying to interrupt me. 12 to 18 months. The president didn't say that a few days ago. You know what he said? You know what he said a couple weeks ago, my friend? Here's what he said. We're going to have a cure very soon.
Again, Brian.
That's misinformation.
That's first of all, his administration estimated 12 to 18 months, right? A minimum 12. So if the cure comes or the vaccine comes in 6 months in relation to the 12 to 18 months, and it could happen. We're only 3 weeks into this thing. In the next 5 months, a vaccine could definitely come. If that were to take place,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
How would that not be the same as very soon?
Because they're not saying 6 months. They're saying 12 to 18, and you're not a medical expert.
Brian, what I'm saying is it could take place. If it were to take place.
That's not what his administration is saying.
Chloroquine right now is already being approved by the
So you know more than the health experts.
by the FDA as a potential drug to treat coronavirus.
So you know more than the health experts.
All I'm saying is, okay, they're estimated 12 to 18 months, but if the vaccine comes in 6 months or 8 months, that is significantly lower than 12 to 18
why
months.
Is this so difficult?
It isn't
Can
difficult.
I talk?
No,
why is this so difficult?
You're assuming because they're saying no, Brian. You're assuming that because they're saying 12 to 18 months that is the absolute guaranteed time frame. I'm saying if the vaccine comes in 6 months or 8 months, that is 10 months less than 18 months. That is 6 months less than 12 months, and it would actually apply to Trump's statement of the virus being coming. The cure coming very soon.
Now let me just speak for 30 seconds.
Sure.
That's all I need.
Absolutely.
Okay? For this last gentleman who just called in and said, well, if the president doesn't know, then why you criticize him? Let me be very clear and answer the question, which I wasn't able to answer. Very simply put, when you don't have the answers, when you don't know, and clearly Donald Trump for the last 2 months has been completely clueless, what you don't do is you don't speculate as the president of the United States. You don't say that there's going to be a miracle and there's going to be a cure. What you don't say is the number of cases in the country are 15 and it's go down to 0. That's what he said a month ago. What you don't do is undermine how serious this could be. And if he doesn't know, which we all agree he didn't know a month or two ago, you don't speculate as the president of the United States. And that's exactly what he did. And that's why I am going after him for doing so. He's only taken a serious stance over the course of the last few days. That is where my problem is. So for any of you bozos that wear the Donald Trump knee pads, that call into the show and say, well, the president didn't know, so why are you criticizing him? That's exactly my point. If you don't know, then you don't speculate. We're not just anybody, somebody on the street or a radio host. This is the president of the United States. You don't speculate when you're president, and that's exactly what he did. And there are people that could have had the virus that went to work because last month he said you could go to work if you have the virus. That's what the president said. And if anybody agrees with that and think that's okay, then check your head and put yourself into a mental institution.
Keep in mind that at the point when he said that if you had the virus, you were in quarantine.
He did not say that a month ago. That's not true.
But you did not know. You did not know that you had the virus.
That's not what he said a month ago.
There were not enough tests available to find out if you had the virus.
That's not what he
said.
And
they weren't testing people.
You're not saying what he said.
He
said, go ahead and go to work. And a lot of people that are going to work, even if they have the virus, they're feeling better.
But how would they know?
That's irresponsible.
How would they know that they had the virus, Brian, at the time that he said that? How long ago did he say that?
He didn't. That's not what he said. A month ago. We played it. A month ago,
there were 3 cases. I believe there were 3 cases in the United States, 3 total cases.
He said it would have been okay to go to work.
At that point, he was talking to 3 people that had been infected with the virus. And I guarantee you, those 3 people...
Absolutely irresponsible.
Or the people that were on the Diamond Princess, they were probably the only people that were infected with the virus, at least publicly, at that time. Now, that's totally changed. At that point, what I'm saying is
that's not true.
Nobody went to work at that point knowing they had the virus because no one knew they had the virus.
When there were 15 people that were contracted with the virus in the United States, you know what he said? Here's what he said on a national stage. He said, We believe those 15 cases are going to go down to zero, and the virus is just going to disappear. And then his idiot friends, Diamond and Silk, that's right, Mr. President, hanging out with Diamond and Silk. Boy, that's wonderful leadership. You're hanging out with 3 people that have a combined IQ of 20.
Now, why do you think they have low IQs, Brian?
Why do I think? By the things they say. That's why. By the way they behave.
Okay, so,
and I said 3 people.
So if you speak with Ebonics, you have a low IQ.
Nope, that's not what I said. I'm not talking about how they speak. I'm talking about exactly what they say.
Okay.
There is a big fine line difference there. And if you look at their Twitter page and you look at the things they say, that's the difference. It's not how they say it, it's what they say. I don't care what language they speak. It's what they say.
All I can tell you
and they're ignorant.
is at that point when Trump made that statement, if you knew you had the coronavirus, you wouldn't be allowed to go to work. You were stuck in a hospital. You were probably in a quarantine center. You might be in Omaha, Nebraska at the biocontainment unit with Carl Goldman. At that point, that's who had the virus. Now, there was no one who knew they had the virus, who had been tested for the virus, that knew it, that was going to work.
All I have to say is you can go back and look at the Trump statements and some of the statements he's made in regards to corona. January 22nd, we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China. It's going to be just fine. He was wrong. February 2nd, we pretty much shut it down coming in from China. That was wrong. He said on February 24th, the coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. February 24th, that's 3 weeks ago. He said the stock market is starting to look very good to me. Boy, was he wrong about that. He's a wonderful businessman, though, so he can never be wrong when it comes to finances. On February 26th, he said 15 cases in the U.S. Within a couple days, it's going to be down to 0. That's what the president said. He said we're going very, very substantially down, not up. Boy, was he wrong about that. He said on February 27th, in front of the very intelligent Diamond and Silk, one day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And then Diamond and Silk in the background are saying, yeah, that's right, Mr. President.
Obviously, he was very incorrect about
Word,
that.
Mr. President.
He may have had the wrong information. Obviously, Donald Trump was wrong about that. There's now roughly 12,000.
Hold on, I'm not done yet.
There's roughly 12,000 cases of the virus in the United States. There's been about 180 deaths. So obviously he was incorrect about that.
All right, well, yeah, obviously, yes. Thank you for admitting that. On March 2nd, he said you take a solid flu vaccine. You don't think that could have an impact or much of an impact on corona? March 2nd, he talked about getting a vaccine for the flu, how it could help the corona. Hold on, March 4th. I can keep going, man. I can keep going. March 5th, I never said people that are feeling sick should go to work. Yes, he did. I just read this quote. On March 6th, I think we're doing a really good job in this country keeping it down. A tremendous job at keeping it down. March 6th, I don't need to have the numbers doubled because one ship, that wasn't our fault.
As far as the vaccine statement, the flu vaccine, it isn't unreasonable to take current or past vaccines and try to apply them to the virus. I think that's completely reasonable. That's why chloroquine, which is a malaria drug used years ago, is actually working. The people across the world are realizing that there's a lot of products, there's a lot of medical products and a lot of medications that have been used for various different things that they're trying to apply to this virus in kind of a guess and check mode to see if it works. And again, that isn't unreasonable. I think that's actually necessary to kind of guinea pig those products and see if they are being effective. Because if they are, then we get that much closer to finding a cure. And thank God, back in 1918, when the Spanish flu hit, this will be nothing like the Spanish flu. They didn't have anything like they have now.
You know what's unreasonable?
There's so many more medication and developed things that are helping people get better over the course of the last 100 years that they're doing, and they're going to take everything they can and try to apply those to any of these patients to see if anything works.
You know what's
because
unreasonable?
They have so much more to choose from than they had back in 1918.
You know what's unreasonable? When we have a pandemic, I should say, and you decide to spend some time with Diamond and Silk. That's unreasonable. What's unreasonable is, here's something else that's unreasonable.
At that point, it was not a pandemic,
Okay,
Brian.
here's something else.
It was.
Okay,
I'm
let me
just
finish.
telling you, at that
Can I
point, it
finish?
was not a pandemic.
Okay, let me just finish. He also said on March 6th, I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it. Every one of those doctors said, how do you know so much about this? Maybe I have a natural ability. Maybe I should have done that instead of running for president. Well, maybe just you shouldn't have run for president. I just read some of the most unreasonable things he said over the last 60 to 90 days about this virus. He was wrong. And then the last statement, March 9th, this blindsided the world. Yet the president has said he knew this was a pandemic way before it was a pandemic. But yet on March 9th, he says this blindsided the world. Guess what, Mr. President? You can't have it both ways. You can't. You screwed up. You said idiotic things, and now we as Americans are paying the price for it. This show is about you more than it's about us, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to continue this conversation tomorrow. We are going to continue to take your calls. We want to hear from you. We want to hear about the issues and the problems that you're going through and how we can help you and how we can put the word out and give you the best information and the latest information we have from the health experts out there. That is what we are doing on this show, and that is we are going to continue to do that starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We promise you that. We will do the best job we can at covering the coronavirus. Check out our Twitter at The Vegas Take, our YouTube page, The Vegas Take. Subscribe on YouTube. Sean Hannity will be coming up next. Have a great afternoon, everybody.